Okay, everybody. Thank you and welcome to Connect Entertainment and Gaming, the pitch competition that brings together leading members of the media with the most innovative startups in the gaming and entertainment space. My name is Jim Glade, and I'm a principal at Publicize, a PR firm for growth. And today I'm joined with my colleague, Salome Muriel, who's the events director here at Publicize, and she put all this on in the background. We're really pleased to be joined today by a host of leading journalists who report in the fields of business, technology, entertainment, and much more. And we're equally happy to host 6 very exciting startups from the entertainment and gaming sectors as they pitch their ventures in front of these distinguished journalists. We'll also be holding a Q&A session at the end with the media judges. So any of the participants and audience listening in, it's a really good time to ask any questions of the media as well. Before we begin, I just wanted to mention, if any startups that are in attendance have any questions regarding PR, feel free to reach out to me at jim@publicize.co. Now, without any further ado, let's meet our media judges. Judges, when I say your name, if you want to come on and come on screen and say hello so we could put a face to a bio. First up, we have Brett Knight, who's a senior editor at Forbes, where he covers the business of sport for the renowned business news publication. Previously, he oversaw business news coverage for Forbes.com and managed the website's network of thousands of contributing writers. Before joining Forbes, Brett worked as a staff editor at the New York Times and has reported for various other publications, including Vox Media and the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. Brett, thank you for joining us.
Hi, everyone. Nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Next up, we have Amanda Silbering, who is a senior editor at TechCrunch, one of the world's leading technology news publications. Amanda covers topics such as the creator economy and social media, among many others. Before joining TechCrunch, she was a freelance journalist who had published stories in publications like Business Insider, Vice, Paper Magazine, and many more, and also worked as a political organizer, multimedia creator, and in the communications department at the Institute of Contemporary Art. Really privileged to have her as well. Amanda, thank you for joining.
Hi, good to meet you all.
Thank you. Next up, we have Victor Day, who is a managing tech editor at the Metaverse Post, a publication dedicated to the latest artificial intelligence and crypto news. Victor covers a number of topics, including AI, data science, the metaverse, cybersecurity, much, much more. Before joining the Metaverse Post, Victor was the technology editor at VentureBeat, which is a leading publication covering emerging technology trends in enterprise. He holds a master's degree in data science and analytics, which provides a unique perspective for his reporting. Victor, thank you for joining us as well.
Thank you so much for the introduction, Jim. Always a pleasure to be here. All the best to everyone presenting today.
Thank you, Victor. Next up, we have Paolo Bicchieri, who is a reporter for Eater, a leading lifestyle and dining publication covering cities across the US, which is owned by Vox Media. Based in San Francisco, Paolo reports on the best entertainment locales in and around the Bay Area. Paolo's reporting has been featured in publications such as the San Francisco Examiner, San Francisco Weekly, KQED, which is the Northern California affiliate station for NPR radio. So, Paolo, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And yeah, good luck to everybody today. And it's an honor to be here.
It's an honor to have you. Next up, we have Alexander Garcia, who's a tech writer and a contributor to publications like Entrepreneur Magazine and Hacker Noon. He also writes regularly for Soy Emprendedor, which is a Spanish language publication focused on entrepreneurship in Latin America, as well as Pulso, which is Colombia's largest digital media publication. He's also a senior account executive here at Publicize. Alexander, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure being here.
It's our pleasure. And last but not least, we also have Miguel Alfonso, who is a technology, business, and startup news contributor for publications including Forbes Centro America, which is the Spanish language version of one of the world's leading business news publications. His work has also been featured in Entrepreneur en Español, as well as the Bogota Post, which is Colombia's leading English language news site. Miguel, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. Looking forward for all the presentations.
It's our pleasure. All right, guys. Well, we're again really honored to have all of these esteemed journalists with us today. So we look forward to the valuable insights you'll be sharing with us. Without any further ado, we'll hop right into the pitch competition. Startups, I'm going to bring you each on screen individually, and you'll pitch for 2 minutes, and I will be timing you. After each pitch, we'll open up for questions and comments from the journalists in the media panel, and then we'll bring on the next startup. Shail is going to start us off. Shail is the CEO and founder of The Last Game Board. Shail, give me 1 second and I'll allow you to share your screen.
Great.
All right, you should be able to share your screen.
Can everyone see my deck?
We can see it and we can hear you loud and clear. So whenever you're ready, I'll start the timer, Shail.
Okay, I'm ready to go. Hi, everyone. I'm Shail, CEO and co-founder of The Last Game Board. 3 billion, that's how many people globally identify as gamers. Yet there's something profoundly missing in gaming today. Think of every product you use, your cell phone, your tablet, your computer, your console. It is yours. It is your personal device. It is meant for you to game individually. You might meet virtual people in virtual avatars and eventually the metaverse, but you'll never meet in person and together while you're gaming. We're connected now more than ever, yet all of us feel alone. And gamers are not different than any of us. 77% of gamers say they feel completely disconnected and isolated in gaming today. ADHD, depression, suicide, especially amongst the youth, is rising and plaguing our society. That's why tabletop gaming, board gaming, has seen such an astronomical rise in the past decade. There's a reason why chess has been played for 2,000 years. These games are indelible. They're infinitely replayable. In comes Game Board, a connected social device, a product that is inherently built to connect players together. We have a patented technology that lets you use real physical pieces on the surface of Game Board, while giving players the access to hundreds, eventually thousands, of tabletop experiences. We have everything from cards and checkers and chess all the way to Dungeons and Dragons. We partner with some of the biggest IPs on the planet to bring these experiences to gamers across the world. Our mission is to bring humanity back into playing. And we believe that we can do this with the inherent product of Game Board that we built, meant to be shared and connected and played together. And that's what our stats show. People are spending hours a week playing together, never alone, on Game Board. We have a hardware model powered by a software ecosystem that allows creators to monetize in an antiquated, archaic, analog way that has never been done before, all while providing analytics back to these companies. Our team has crafted this beautiful product over the past 3 years and spent an insane amount of work on user experience and product to build this technology and bring it to players across the world. Our team hails from Xbox, Netflix, Disney, and has scaled consumer products globally in a magnificent way. I had a different word and I can't remember now. Game Board is the future of gaming, and I join you all to bring humanity back into gaming with us. Thank you.
Awesome, Shail. Congratulations. Great presentation.
Thank you.
Actually, very interesting. I read an article today in the New York Times about Dungeons and Dragons being played in prisons and
Yeah.
kind of the benefits for mental health and stuff. So very cool. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
We'll open up for questions from the media panel. Journalists, please feel free to just shout out and ask any questions of Shail. Miguel, if you want to start, I see your hand raised.
Yes. First, congratulations, such a great product.
Thank
I'm
you.
a gamer, so
Okay.
I can relate of what you said. And I would like to know, like, does the console offer any connectivity to play online with other, gamers worldwide, or is it just like in person play?
Yes, it's open. So we have an open software development kit that's available to anyone. Depending on what the developer wants to do, we have tons of games on Game Board. You can play Game Board to Game Board. Dungeons and Dragons, for example, you can play with people on the computer as well. Like if you have 2 people in person, 1 person can join online as well. So it's a very open ecosystem. Our primary use case is in person, but we do utilize a lot of network play and online play as well.
Great. And that leads me to my second question. And it's like, we have a problem in the community, and is the toxicity, you know? Sometimes it's really hard, and you were talking about mental health and how this can help you, but of course it can also, you know, be a problem for your mental health. So how would you deal with the toxicity in, you know, in the community for
Yeah.
your game? Yeah.
We have no chat on Gameboard.
Okay.
We actually don't. I steer away passionately because I feel like the gaming community hasn't solved for that in an adequate way. What we do on Gameboard is when we utilize voice over IP. We work with Epic for EOS integration and stuff. So if you're far away from someone, you can talk to each other. You are in control of inviting people to your game sessions. So most of the time on Gameboard, you know who they are. We have not opened it up to like just community-based play on Gameboard yet. I think it's a problem that's extremely prevalent in the community, and I don't think that there's enough tools and resources to solve for it. To me, it just feels too dangerous to walk into that now.
Oh, great. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Miguel, for going first. I see Victor had his hand raised first, and then we'll go with Amanda and then Alex.
Yeah. Hi, Shane. Amazing presentation. I have heard of Gameboard. So
Great.
you guys are doing amazing work.
Thank you.
Two simple questions. What does the hardware comprise of?
Mhm.
And second thing, I would want to know that how do you improve user experience every time? Is there like data analysis going on? How do you do that?
Sure. So yeah, the hardware, it's a 17 by 17 inch lightweight device. So it looks like a big square tablet. We're built on Android AOSP, but we have our own operating system. Our touch patent is embedded into the touch driver and component layer on Gameboard itself. So we have speakers, microphones, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, all of that stuff. We have, really high CPU and GPU usage. We don't really require a lot because Gameboards are static in nature. You'll never really see like a AAA game or like a first shooter game on Gameboard. Low animation. We use like very light visual effects. We rely more on sound and like above the board experience, as we call it. On Gameboard. And about the user experience. So yes, we have a graph database on Gameboard in and of itself. So we spent about a year in beta with 600 beta users last year, testing out the user interface because it's a new paradigm, right? Multiple people are touching the device. And we have a lot of different like features, product features that we utilize on it. And we actually limited a lot of it. Like we only have released 2 different features because it proved to be so tricky with users. So we're actually very careful in how we roll out different aspects of our technology because it's so different from how people game today. So we're very deliberate, we're very slow. We use a lot of data embedded on Gameboard. We do a lot of user testing. I myself conducted 90 one-on-one interviews with beta users. And that's just me as one person in the team.
Righty, Shell. Thank you very much for answering. And Victor, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Fantastic. We'll go ahead with Amanda. Amanda, please.
Hi, Shale. This seems awesome. I'm a big TTRPG player, so I definitely could see how this would be really useful to a lot of people. My question is like more general. I'm just curious, like, I know when I play TTRPGs, because I'm online literally all day, I love to play analog. So I was wondering if you were finding in your interviews with beta testers, like, are people like, are they finding like, oh no, this is like another screen I'm looking at, or does like all the different things it can do outweigh that, or like how are people feeling about making something analog digital?
It's kind of crazy. Taking a screen vertical and making it horizontal changes like the entire psychology behind it. And that was one of the first things that we did back like 3 years ago when I first started Gameboard. It seems subtle, but it's like deeply profound, right? Because now you're not playing through technology, you're playing with it. And that was one of the biggest feedback that we got, was that it feels more like a shared experience, and technology is just enabling the analog. Yes, we have physical components and it's tactile and you can touch it, but it's more important. I think technology isn't going anywhere and we can't ignore it, right? How do we use technology to cultivate meaningful experiences with it? And I think that's where Gameboard is so beautiful, because it lies in the center, right? Of, you don't feel like you spent time, like when you spend 4 hours on Candy Crush, you're going to walk away being like, what the hell did I just do with my life? when you walk away, I played Cat Lady with my daughter last night for 2 hours, and I walked away being like, we laughed, we connected, we had a good time. And it was something as simple as changing how a screen is, how we're gaming, what we're looking at, and why we're looking at it. Like, it changes the entire dynamic.
Cool. Thanks.
Right, and thank you, Amanda, for that. We'll go with Brett.
Hi, nice presentation. I'll say up front, I'm a D&D player, DM actually, so
Love all the D&D players. We should have done like a quick one shot.
we can hook up after this for the publicized campaign. But
Yeah.
yeah, so had two questions for you. One, I know you mentioned working with partners in the industry, so curious like what that experience has been like, what sort of contracts you have with them. I know Hasbro and Wizards have let's say like a mixed track record with their IP and particularly the first year.
Yeah.
So just sort of curious like what that sort of component of the business has been like.
Well, when I first started Gameboard in 2019, I pretty much got laughed out the door because I was like, I'm not going to pay minimum guarantees and I just want your content and I'll provide you data and analytics. Everyone was like, get out of here. But years of just like relentless work talking about the value of why, and a pandemic definitely accelerated our value proposition to analog creators. We currently have 300 in our pipeline, including Hasbro. We've signed with Asmodee, which does like Catan, Ticket to Ride, Restoration Games. If you can think of a gaming company, they're probably on our platform. We can digitize internally, we can digitize analog games in 6 weeks. We use Unity and Unreal. We have plugins for both in our SDK. So we rapidly deploy content at no charge to the original game creator. And we do a rev share agreement back with them and provide in-game data and analytics. So it's like a no-brainer, no barrier for people to deploy content on Gameboard. The second part is someone like Hasbro. We work with people who hold licenses for games. So Foundry, VTT, Roll20, Encounter Plus. So currently we support all of them on Gameboard. We partner with existing systems. People can upload their own campaigns, all of that stuff on Gameboard. So while we don't directly have like Wizards of the Coast campaigns on Gameboard, we partner with Foundry that supports all of them.
Great. And then the one other thing I was just sort of curious to get your perspective on is like, I know a lot of companies in the tabletop industry have struggled with this sort of scaling question, and like particularly with equipment, like in the D&D group, right? Like we really only like one player's handbook to cover the whole group, and like me as DM, I buy it and my players don't really invest.
Yeah, they don't have to.
So like, this would seem to have that same sort of issue where, most gaming groups are maybe going to have one game board, not like each member. So it would seem to kind of limit your user base. So just curious, like how you consider that problem and how you're thinking about, addressing that.
So for us, like for an analog creator of board games, they make, even Hasbro, they make $5 to $6 after everything is said and done. So even if your campaign book is $60, after everything is done in profit and retail and all that stuff with their CAC included, they're probably making $5 to $6. On Gameboard, because we do a rev share, we say to a creator, you can make $5 per player per month on Gameboard. It's reoccurring, predictable revenue for the game creator. We also allow for in-game purchases, expansion packs, specialized minis, character sheets, whatever you want on the platform itself for individual monetization. If you're playing Catan and you want the expansion pack, you can purchase it at an add-on, right? So base games for everyone are $15. Creators actually make almost 20x on a single game on Gameboard than they would in analog. And for us, that is the power of the platform, right? We're rewarding the creator by getting rid of a lot of publishers, a lot of overhead, a lot of distribution cuts that people make when they're creating a tabletop game.
All right, fantastic, Shale. Thank you so much. And Brett, thank you for that last question as well. We're going to note next event will be a publicized Dungeons and Dragons game for sure. I wanted to mention, just because of time, my apologies, Paulo. I hope we can call on you for the next one, but I want to be conscious of the other participants as well. So we can't get your question this time, but the next time. Shale, awesome job. Thank you so much for going first too. No, it's a pleasure. All right, folks, we're going to bring up our next presenter. We have Martin from Mokins League. Martin, give me a second and I can pass you the presenter role.
Perfect.
All
Right,
right.
I think I have it now. Let me see. Let's get this going. Let me see if you can see my screen, please.
Yeah, we can see it now.
All right, perfect. Awesome, guys. So let's get started. So today I'm going to talk to you about Mokins League, the project that we are developing here in Barcelona. But first of all, let me do it like a very, very quick intro, like 10 seconds. My name is Martin. I've been creating video games for the past 25 years, and I do have a past on the Silicon Valley and also in competitions like startup, like TechCrunch 50, 2008. I know that there's people from TechCrunch here. I love you guys. It was a great experience. We ended up with runners-up that year. So I'm a little bit used to present fast. So let's get to it. So we're building a Web3 game here, right? Actually not a game. If a platform is it's a universe. And what we've seen is this is a main problem with blockchain games. You probably know this very well, but most first generation games, they were literally a scam, right? They were like, they were all about just selling tokens and you getting money. And when the inflow of users started to decline, all the tokens tend to zero. So that doesn't work. Because the focus was put on tokens, not on fun. You know, all the fundamental rules on how to make a game were broken on that first generation. And then we had the useless and expensive millions of monkeys NFTs. I'm sorry if you own one, but you know it's definitely not worth it. Nothing. And they were useless NFTs. So all these problems allow us to think about this new IP. What created Mokins League is a new IP. It's free to play, very traditional. It's multi-platform. We also feature AI-powered NPCs. So we're talking about real time. We're talking about esports. We're talking about competitions, and also we're talking about AI opponents when you are offline. You know, going really quickly, let me tell you that we are not just creating a game, we're creating a universe. There's a plethora of content that we created over a year and something that we've been building this game so far. And we've already launched it to our community. We are on a private beta right now, seeing some solid numbers on PC and also on mobile. By the way, we are going live on mid-September, end of September, you are going to be able to get this game to test. So I wanted to spend like 10 seconds to talk about how we see Web3 gaming actually evolving. We see it in the form of NFTs that have a real use case inside the game. You can use it to play the games, but then you can have this sort of a Web3 experience where you use them, you can collect them all, you can sell them, you can trade them, you can get rewards. As you're doing that, like you've seen these many times, or with baseball cards or superhero collectibles, you are unlocking these rewards that then they tie back to our universe of games. And with these, we have a cohesive experience of gamers that actually want to play and compete and have fun, and also are collecting and owning NFTs without them even know them, because that's the beauty of what we're building. We're building a seamless experience, what we call the Web 2 to Web 3 path, where users will get NFTs, will trade NFTs, will use NFTs, and they don't even know that they're on blockchain technology. That's what we're trying to build here at Mokins League. So in a nutshell, multi-platform, free-to-play with Web3 collectibles, streaming ready and competitive ready. Before we finish, multiple sources business model. This is like, we know this very well. We're going to be selling tokens and skins, collectibles on the parts of NFTs. We have marketplace fees that we can charge there. Of course, traditional free-to-play microtransactions are there. And the most important part is branded deals. Right. So last 10 seconds, I want to tell you that we've been working with a lot of different companies, from esports to different, clubs and teams. Like, for example, Kun Agüero's Kings League's team, that we are already partnering with them, doing tournaments and doing exclusive content. So we believe that the branded area is going to be a driver of revenue. Very, very important for us as well. So that's it, guys. So thank you. And this is Mokins League.
Awesome, Martin. Thank you so much. Great presentation. I love the juxtaposition of your Atari hat and talking about Web3 games. That's awesome.
Yeah, I know, right?
Super cool. Well, if anybody would like to start off, I see Alex has his hand raised. We'll start with you, sir. Hey, Alex, you with us?
Sorry.
There we go.
Yeah, I'm here. Martin, thanks so much. This was a great presentation. This is a really great project. Yeah, it was a great presentation. This is a really great project. Yeah, it was a great presentation. Okay, so Martin, my question is, when it comes to gaming, your idea, your project is really relatable to the people who games, to the gamers, you know. But what kind of strategies do you have for those no gamers? Do you have like a strategy to attract and gain new market with no gamer people? Because I mean, for getting to buy your idea, people must be, you know, gamers, because yeah.
So
Yeah,
how do you-
absolutely. I mean, first of all, understanding that our first target demographic, I mean, the target are gamers, because the reality is like the entertainment gaming industry is the largest entertainment industry on the planet. If you take them, this very well, but if you take the music and Hollywood combined, it would not even match gaming. So we think that there's a solid, big enough, we're talking about 370 something billion market that we can tap into. And I also have to say, Alex, that I don't even think that I agree with the concept of non-gamers. I do think that people right nowadays, they are all gamers, because they've been gamifying everything that we know, right? So I don't know. Our focus, man, is just gamers. We can talk about like what specifically gamer that we are targeting, which are more of the mid-core audience, right? That we want to then, sort of teach them and that Web3 path that we believe is going to be so important in the upcoming years, because digital private property for gamers, it's really, really important. And I'm talking about blockchain is going to be the enabler of that, right? So Alex, our first target, and I think it's more than enough, it's going to be gamers that already are playing games, and there's always room for one more.
Okay, thank you so much, Martin. That's a great answer.
Victor, and then Miguel.
Yeah, hi Martin. Just one question. See, in Web3 games, sustainability has been an issue over the time. So what is your product's key differentiation? How do you aim to make it different and scale it further?
Right. So I think that the first, it's not like it has a problem. Like sustainability is a problem for Web3 gaming, because that the focus it was and still is for the most part completely wrong. Web3 games are developed the other way around. Like we traditional gamers build games that are mechanic, dynamic, aesthetics, right? There's a way of how do you build games, and you need to find the fun or find the entertainment hook or whatever, and then you layer up all the components that end up in the business model or economic model. Web3 games were all the way around. It's like tokenomics, how we're going to make money, and then let's copy this game and put it here, because people is going to be making money. So that doesn't work. So for us, making a game that works on Web3 is not the concern. We need to make a game that works and follow the traditional monetization mechanics that are working in the traditional gaming industry for many, many years, and they continue to work. And the blockchain component, the Web3 component for us is an added value layer that allows the users to have digital ownership on their own assets, but they're not going to be doing anything crazy for that. They're just going to be playing traditional games and just buying digital currency that is not a token, it's not a crypto token, and participating. And of course, earning rewards, earning assets, skins, and items that they will be powered by blockchain technology, because we want for those assets that the user either paid or earned to be theirs, right? If they want to take them out and sell it on the marketplace, that's their own thing. Like if they want to do that, that's their thing. Like for us, what we are going to be enabling for them, for the Web3 community, is an digital album where they are going to be able to be collecting all of their NFTs, and by doing that and unlocking rewards, and with those rewards getting back into the game to be able to continue playing. And by the way, so we've been working, and we are about to make a very big announcement, but we're working with layer ones that are very interested in this approach, because they believe that this is a sustainable path for Web3 gaming in the future. So we're going to announce a new investor that is actually a layer one, but more to that later. Under embargo now.
Awesome. Congrats, Martin. We'll go with Miguel and then Brett to wrap it up.
Hey, Martin. I was reviewing your website and I saw the platform launch roadmap that you have in there. But looking forward like, into the future, do you have any plans of expanding into new platforms like consoles or Xbox, PlayStation, like that, or just
Yeah, I mean,
be on the
consoles are very close. Yeah, but the thing, I've developed games for all the consoles. Like I've been doing that, and the truth is, like, the lot, what is called the lot checks for PlayStation, Nintendo, whatever, are very, very, very tough, very complicated because all those are closed systems, and I don't know, they're not our priority. Our priority is mobile and PC, just standard PC. We're going to be on Steam, by the way. We're going to be on Steam, which is for me the largest gaming platform in the world. For what we are going to be aiming. Of course, we are already approved on the Android store and iOS store. We are already approved on Apple. By the way, we're on private beta, so we have users. We have around 2,000 people that are playing on a monthly basis our private alpha right now, and we are already on those stores. For PC, we also have an exclusive agreement with Elixir app, which is it's a launcher for games right now. They're going to be powering the GameStop marketplace for Web3 games now. We're going to be there as well. And, consoles are important and interesting, but not our first choice of target platforms because of all the Web3 components. You know what I mean? Like, it's still new technology, and all of the, big manufacturers, they're more dinosaur in the way they move forward, but, eventually, who knows?
Great, thanks.
Thanks, Miguel. Go ahead, Brett.
Yeah, thanks for the pitch, Martin. Something I'm curious to get your perspective on would be, you mentioned sort of the first generation of these games that I think kind of messed with people's expectations. And, I think more broadly speaking, there's a lot of skepticism right now among consumers with, NFTs and crypto. And, certainly in gaming, there's been a pushback in the last few years against microtransactions, and since those are a couple of areas where your business model really lives, like how are you feeling about that climate and your ability?
I think that every now and then in the gaming industry we have these major changes with that. Their new business models appears, new ways of monetizing become standards, and they change, and there's always a pushback, and then it sort of settles into some sort of a standard that we haven't found yet. What I'm saying is I do not have any worries about that, because all of companies and all games end up adhering to what actually the market wants to do. Like, I remember 2009, 2010, I was in San Fran. There was a company appearing that, people thought they were crazy. It was called Zynga, because they were doing social games of free to play, and nobody believed in free to play around that era. And the reality is it became the largest, money making, business system for gaming economics in the world. You know what I mean? And then a company called Minecraft came along and said, no, we're going to do a game in Java, and we're going to charge $50 for it. And that's it. More of a 1999 business model approach. And they sold 50 million units, I remember, right? So the gaming industry will tell you what they want, and games will adapt to that. That's why you have pay-to-win games like Kingdom of Hearts or something like that works. And for me, they're horrible. But then you have like 99 unfinished games like Cyberpunk that get released, and 2 years later is not even fixed. And then you have a game that takes 12 years into development that's called $66.99 to enter Diablo 4, which I'm a big fan. And they offer microtransactions, and people is so, and people are rattling about it, and they're not happy, but they have 1 million daily active. So, yeah, I mean, it's a complicated world out there, and I think that as a gamer, and also as a game developer, you will end up finding where is that price point and business model that works. For now, we are sticking to what we know that works for Brawl Stars, for Miniclip games, and all of those games that are doing millions of dollars with the same business model that we are applying, and we think that's going to work. And if it doesn't work, we will change it.
Fantastic. Martin, really quickly, I just follow-up question. Are you monetizing right now the beta?
No, we are actually opening the store on September 15th. That's actually a good question. Right now, it's everything is sort of free. We're measuring other things, sort of retention and other stickiness mechanics. But yeah, dynamics.
Perfect. Well, no, Martin, fantastic presentation. Thank you so much. Martin Repetto from Mokins League. Thank you very much for joining us.
All right.
All right, guys, we'll move on to our next presenter. We have Michael Puskar, who is the CTO of NPCX. Michael, let me know if you'd like to share your screen, sir.
Absolutely. Give me a second here.
Ready.
Oh, I guess you need to give me permission.
Now you should be
Here
able
we
to.
go. All right. Can everybody see it? You see my deck? No?
No, we still see you. I think we see the
Okay, so, sorry.
the owl camera.
Try again.
Real quickly, while we're working on the camera, just a quick PSA for the judges to remember to score in real time along in the judges scorecard. It looks like everybody's on point with that, but if you forgot to judge, if you could please judge the next one.
So how about now?
Darn no, it keeps reverting back to that camera.
Rats. I'm on an iPad, so let's give it one more shot. Otherwise, it's gonna have to go without the slide deck, and we'll have to show it again.
All good too, and if it's all right with the others, we could skip ahead and come back if it's cool with everybody else too, if you're having some technical difficulties.
Yeah, just let's try this. No, it just says everything on your screen, including notifications, will be recorded. Enable do not disturb. Let me just make sure I don't have that. All right. Well, I'm just going to give the presentation, Jim, without it. I don't need it. I'll look at it and I'll distribute it later. Okay. So, hi everyone. Nice to be here. My name is Michael Puskar. I am the CTO, co-founder of NPCX. NPCX is a high-tech startup that is using AI to create realism in video games, hyper-realism, really, and animated film as well. We're in the process of raising a $3 million seed round. At the moment, we have 25 million, which is led by Total Ventures, Total Investment. That was announced yesterday, so we're really thrilled about that. So my co-founder, Karen Madani, he's a veteran of the video game industry. I'm basically been working in artificial intelligence for 30 years. When we connected, I realized really quickly that a lot of the problems that the video game industry is facing are very similar to problems that AI has solved in other industries, like finance and human resources and pharmaceuticals and things like that. And so we set about raising some funds to see if we could solve some of these major problems. I'm going to walk you through really quickly what these problems are that we're addressing. The first is 3D character animations. So right now, 3D character animations are usually done in motion capture stages. They shoot on motion capture stages, and there's a process of cleaning. That cleaning process is tedious, it's expensive, the time to market is, it decreases the time to market. So what we did is we took the motion capture data that came off the stage, and we used it to train up neural networks. And then we did the cleaning automatically. It's a product that we launched in March. It's called TrackerX. And it's the classic AI use case. It took what was once 20 staff and was cleaning this, and they had carpal tunnel syndrome, their eyes hurt, and it took it down to 2 staff, deployed them in places where they could be more effective. And it took what took 8 hours to build a character animation down to 10 minutes. So big jump there. The second is a product we have called EMX, which is about making animated characters more fluid. So EMX basically tries to model human movement in characters. So if you've played a AAA title, it could be Diablo or it could be Call of Duty, you've seen kind of how characters run. And we're used to that. They're video game characters. Our aim is through neural networks and modeling of real world human behavior to create video games that are in every way like watching animated film. You won't be able to tell the difference. And then the third, and our North Star product, it's still in development, is called BehaviorX. BehaviorX uses a new process, a new technology in AI called behavioral cloning. And what we do is AI typically in video games are governed by something called decision trees. They're not really AI. They're basically big if then else loops. And that's why you get tired of playing video games after a while. What we're doing is we're observing real world players for long periods of time as they play games. And then we clone them and put their personalities into the game. So, you want to play with your friend, he can't make it tonight, he has a wedding he's got to go to, you can play with his clone. And you'll be able to play with his clone that clone will act in the video game in every way as he would have acted. It also has applications in the metaverse. If you go into the metaverse and no one's there, not going to be very interesting, right? And the business model around that is to create a marketplace of clones where you can rent them and play with them either in co-op or against. So that's NPCX in a nutshell. In 2 minutes or perhaps 2 minutes and 30 seconds, I'm happy to answer the questions that you have.
Hey, Michael, no, great presentation and just, yeah, amazing the technology that you guys are unveiling as well. So congratulations on everything you guys have built thus far.
Thank you.
Victor has his hand raised, so we'll start with Victor.
Yeah, hi, Michael. So you talked about, motion tracking and motion capture and making it smoother through AI, but a few other, companies like EA Sports has been doing it with Frostbite for a while, that they're making it more realistic. They're making player movements more realistic. And so are games like Call of Duty and others. So how is your approach different? Is the model better? How would you explain that?
Yeah, there are folks who in moving on, I guess kind of call them a pseudo competitor. Well, we start with having quality training data and using a lot of training data to train up really fantastic models. And you're exactly right. It's really about being able to have really well-trained models that can knock it out of the park. At the end of the day, this is a process that every single video game studio has to do, right? So we're trying to get them to market faster, and we're trying to make them less expensive. Those two things are obvious, but really the precision is the other thing. So making it so what our technology really specializes in is being able to handle the very difficult cases of motion capture. Take, for example, wrestling. Now, when you have two characters and they're wrestling on the ground, you really lose a lot of the points. And that's difficult for someone who's doing that in a manual way, too. So the models we've trained and that are left to use really have been able to perfect that to a way where the precision level is very, very high.
Thank you, Victor, for the question. Anybody else have a question for Michael? Miguel, please go ahead.
Yes, well, it's not a question, but I would like to congratulate you because, I mean, in games, this, you find always these awkward characters that they have, basically looking at nowhere, this strange look that they have in their faces. And I think that this is such a great initiative to improve this and through AI. So I just wanted to congratulate you for this. Yeah.
I appreciate that. With ENX, we're able to make these character movements so realistic, but also we have an offshoot product called Facial X, which also does the facial movements. So we're really getting to the point where in 2 years in video games, they're going to look like motion pictures. They're going to look like animated film. They're not going to look like the video games today. The next generation of video games are going to be hyper realistic, and we're really privileged and proud to be a part of that revolution.
That's awesome. Yeah.
That's wild. Thank you, Michael. Anybody else have any questions? Amanda, Brett, anybody want to go? If not,
no problem. I will send that. Jim, if you can help me to distribute the presentation afterwards, everybody can take a look at it. I'm happy to answer any questions offline.
No, of course, we'll send it through, Michael. Thank you so much. And again, great presentation.
Thank you.
All right, folks, we'll move on to our next presenter. We have Jalari from Stream Technologies. Jalari, give me 1 second. I can pass the presenter role to you. All right, you should be able to share your screen, Jalari. Let me know. Are you still with us?
Hi, yes, thank you everyone that is here. I'm currently sharing my screen. I'm having a little bit of technical difficulties, but I'm sure to have that right over.
Okay, no worries. I can actually, there we go. It looks like it's coming up now. And apologies, guys, for the connection issues as well for everybody watching. Okay, fantastic. We can see now, Jalari, it looks good, and we can hear you. So whenever you're ready, you can start.
Perfect. Well, game on. More than 500,000 children do not have access to educational technology in Puerto Rico and US, just waiting to rise and be part of the ecosystem. My name is Jalari Lantigua, and I'm the CEO and founder of Stream Technologies, a globally accredited bilingual technology center based in Puerto Rico, educating children for the gifted and special needs. I am a relentless innovator dedicated to ensure students an educational approach in game development, virtual reality, esports, and programming throughout after-school programs and summer camps. We have B2C and B2B models to ensure impact and growth, and one of the best success stories are our students. We have here Pedro Aponte, student with autism that was rejected after 3 college applications. And right now he's currently enrolled in a game development bachelor's degree, and Antonia Lopez as well. We are very encouraged into getting our kids, besides being in college universities, to get accredited programs, which are accredited for college credits or hours, and additional art courses have been promoting students to become entrepreneurs, game changers, and even to generate their own jobs and become freelancers. Part of our attractions, we've been accelerator programs, and this year we made it to the Forbes Under 30 list, local for Puerto Rico. So we're really excited to get the story out there and looking to impact more students with autism and other neurodevelopmental activities, disabilities. We have our team that without them and other collaborations have been essential for our growth. So this is Stream Technologies. We have changed the game, but we're building a new one for everyone to play. And that is what a woman in the tech industry is about. Thank you.
I dig it. Fantastic, Jallery. Congratulations too on everything you built and the people that you've helped. We'll go ahead and start with questions. Victor, if you want to start us off, sir. Hey, Victor, are you there with us? Can you hear me?
I did not raise my hand. Did it get
Oh,
raised?
sorry about that. I thought you had your hand raised. Apologies. We'll go ahead with Paulo first and then Alexander.
Thanks so much. That was an awesome presentation. I thought you just came in and nailed it within the 2-minute window there really impressively. And I think I also have questions just as I have a background as well in the education nonprofit space. And I think that this has been on my mind as something that's kind of an obvious and necessary innovation with this technology in that space. And to get right to my question, you mentioned it briefly there about your kind of growth and scalability and your hopes there, but will you make that just really clear to me on what your plans for actually making sure you have a sustainable business model in the future would be?
Okay, perfect. Well, as a for-profit business, we're looking definitely for scalability. One of the things that we're impacting is to engage our courses more online, looking for contracts, federal contracting, and other that's why we enrolled the business model, B2B, because we noticed that B2C, we can do so much, but these are underrepresented communities. So the income of these parents or these students is really difficult in their homes. And we just really want to make it more accessible and get more impact. That also supports us in getting accreditations. We have a really structured program. These kids really need a specialized learning concept and other tools that will help them enrich, at least for students with autism. There's a really big accessibility barrier, and even in the softwares for them to be able to design and to even be able to play. So we just combine the industries, game development and gaming just together, so we can motivate the kids throughout gaming and to develop their own games. I don't know if I asked your question.
Yeah, I think so. I appreciate what you said there about the federal contracting and sort of being able to further kind of secure that revenue for y'all. And definitely, I think the mission's really cool. So thank you for letting me know.
Hi, Geraldine. How are you? Thank you so much for that presentation. I really loved your project. And I have a really simple question, but it is, what makes you apart from your competitors? What makes you apart from another AI VR courses?
Yes, that is a very good question. So I do know that the competition is fierce. I think one of the things that we've been able to do that has supported us to keep us in a competitive edge is integrating, besides having the courses, we have developed our own VR headset. It's branded, so it's something that distinguishes us. We're also looking to develop other tools that can support our learning, and we have the students that actually consume the data, right? And we have that data available so we can keep perfecting the products that we want to design for the kids. As well, I'm an assistive technology specialist, and I have to adapt so many softwares and equipment in order to be accessible. And it's just a strong barrier because, you know, there's so many good softwares out there, but if this community can't use it, which worldwide there is only 1% accessibility for them, it's just a great opportunity for us.
All right, thank you very much, Jarly. And Amanda, I see your hand up. Please go ahead, please.
Hi, I think this sounds great. I love seeing like technology, gaming, education all coming together. That's awesome. I'm curious about like in terms of accessibility, like I just don't know a lot about like the relationship between VR and accessibility. And if you could talk a bit more about like why this is the particular kind of technology that you're working with.
That's a very good question. My background, I'm a speech therapist and an assistive technology practitioner and an educator. So there's just a lot of things that I just combined in order to make this a safety and healthy practice. It's very important that technology is used correctly and stimulates certain areas, right, where some kids might have a disability, but the technology can be able to not substitute, but support that skill that they might not have. So it's just a very strategic procedure that I have in order to ensure great results. Because if we expose the kids to tech without a good structure or where we're really putting the dot on, right, then we're not really doing much impact. And our mission is to get these kids to be independent and game changers and not just being consumed as people with disabilities that they just get the label and they just can't go to work. So we're just losing so much workforce from there. And we just want to make it more accessible for everyone and healthy in a good way.
Awesome, Jolie. Well, again, congratulations on everything you've built so far. And thank you very much for taking the time to present today.
Likewise, if any other questions, I'm open for every feedback from the judges, and I feel really proud for the people supporting me. So even you guys that are here, thank you so much for the time and space.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. All right, folks, we'll move on. We're rounding the corner to the end of the event, but we have two really cool startups to go. We'll bring up first Mariam Nusrat, who is the CEO and founder of Breshna. Mariam, 1 second. I think you'll be presenting without a presentation as well. Cool. So
awesome.
Whenever you're ready, you start and we'll go.
Awesome. So I'm just going to tell a story. So did you know that every single one of you in this room can make your own video game in less than 15 minutes? Hi, I'm Mariam Nusrat, and I'm transforming the gaming industry so that people like you and I can create our own video games without writing a single line of code. Now, games are powerful communication tools. The impact that they leave on our brains far transcends the virtual boundaries in which we play them. And yet, we do not see games being mainstreamed for purposes beyond entertainment, not as much as we would like it. The reason for that is that games are costly, complicated, and time-consuming to create. And we are breaking the time, cost, and skills barriers of video games and democratizing content creation by games. Our platform, Breshna.io, creates games with no code at zero cost and at lightning speed. The word Breshna actually means lightning in the Pashto language, so that's where the name comes from. So Breshna changes how video games are created, which is with no code, and used, which is for educational, marketing, social impact, training purposes. So think of a math teacher that's trying to make math learning fun. She can create a Super Mario-like video game where you're catching the even numbers, dodging the odd numbers, and having a blast while doing it. So it's kind of like the Canva for video games. We've only been incorporated for less than 2 years, and we've made mad progress. We have more than 146,000 registered game makers that have made over 120,000 video games on the platform. We've also raised $2.5 million in seed funding from investors like Paris Hilton and Randy Zuckerberg. And our 2023 roadmap is on fire. So we're launching a carnival-themed metaverse where our users will not only be able to create their games, but then also showcase them and monetize them at their carnival stands. And we also have a text-to-game engine, AI-powered text-to-game engine, Breshna Blitz, that's launching next year. We are, while the journey for Breshna might be new, I have been, active in the ed tech and the purposeful gaming space for over 15 years. For this work, I've been recognized by the Forbes Next 1000 Entrepreneur list, and I've also received the Clinton Global Initiative Honor Roll Alumni Award. I do this work with a team of 25 developers and designers, and we are on a mission to empower the next 100 million people so they can tell their stories through video games. I'd love for you to join the ride. So what do you say? Are you game? Thank you.
Super cool, Mariam. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's awesome on everything that you've done so far and where you're going as well. I already see hands putting up, so we'll start off with Amanda and then we'll move to.
Awesome.
Hi, this is a really cool idea. Would love to be able to make a video game in 15 minutes. I'm curious what your business model is, like how you're, like, who's your ideal consumer, and is this like subscription, one-off payments, etc.?
Absolutely. So great question, Amanda. We're actually unlocking 4 recurring revenue channels next quarter. Subscription is going to be one of them. While Breshna is completely free to use, we've gotten so many requests for premium templates, premium avatars, the ability to put your discount code, you know, at the within the game and stuff. So those are all going to be like, you know, kind of like Canva, a premium subscription model. We're also going to have immersive advertisements within the metaverse. So whether you want something on the Ferris wheel or the popcorn machine or the photo booth, those are all opportunities to have immersive advertisements. We also have digital land sales within the Carnival stand, so very much like the metaverse model. And lastly, we have a rev share. Because we're allowing content creators to not just showcase their games, but also monetize them, we take a 15% cut. In terms of user profile, it's really interesting. So Breshna games are being used for anything from education to people are making Trevor Noah games and prom proposal games and birthday games to like dentists are putting QR codes in their waiting rooms and using dental hygiene games. Most of it right now, the 2 super users that we're seeing are EdTech. So educators, parents, and teachers, you can make a game in any language on Breshna. So for instance, Saudi became a huge organic market where Arab teachers were making math and science games in Arabic because that just blew up because they couldn't find those on the App Store. Teachers are the biggest content creators of our century, but they haven't been empowered. They've been mostly passive consumers of technology, not active content creators so far. So I mean, Kahoot did that, and we're taking it like this is Kahoot on steroids. The other piece is actually content creators. So the TikTokers, snackable content is now what everyone's making, and we're allowing people to create the TikTok for video games. So we see a lot of kids making makeup and trivia games and prom proposals on Breshna. So I think those are the 2 big super users that we're seeing.
Cool, thank you.
Of course.
Victor, we'll go with you and then Alex.
Yeah, hi, Mariam. Absolutely amazing presentation. So 2 simple questions. What kind of games can you make on the platform? 2D, 3D, what are we talking about here? And how easy is it for citizen developers? Like you talked about drag and drop. I would love to know how much time would it take me to make a game if I wanted to?
Yeah, so absolutely. I'll answer the last one first. When we say lightning fast, we mean lightning fast. So on average, people take 15 minutes to make a game on Breshna. The fastest games has been 3 minutes. I can challenge you. We can do a live game jam and see who can make a game fast. It truly is no code. Actually, that's one of the things that sets us apart from a lot of user-generated content within the gaming space. There's a lot of low-code tools that target game developers, but there's really not no-code tools that have a completely flat learning curve, where just like Canva, you go in, you choose your background, you choose your avatar, you put in your content in your language, you put in your music, and boom, you publish your game. The game gets published as a URL link, which is mobile and web optimized. So it's like almost like a YouTube video. You can take it wherever you want, on your blog, on your WhatsApp, you know, wherever that you want to share it with. The kinds of games are actually, so the games you're making on Breshna are hyper casual. So think Super Mario, tile matching, crossword puzzles, all of those. It is 2D art. And then the Breshnaverse is the 3D deep immersive metaverse. So we're almost leveraging a T profile where Breshna games are light touch. You play them, like, you know, you have a lot of fun while doing it. And then within the Breshnaverse is where you build your carnival stand, you build your community, you bring people to that stand, and like, you know, people have that immersive experience. So it's almost like TikTok marries SimCity, you know, for video games, and that's kind of how the experience goes. So Breshna is 2D, Breshnaverse is 3D, and that's how the experience has.
Thank you so much.
Awesome, Alex.
Hey, Maria. Yeah, I was reviewing your website and I realized that you have like some templates for the games, you know, like many templates and many categories. My question is, the only games that you can create Breshna are the ones that are based on those templates? Or for example, if you have like an idea from scratch, can you create like a different game?
Yeah, absolutely, Alex. So you are making games off of the templates. And what's really interesting is that we've had 120,000 games so far that have been created based on these 18 templates. And every single game looks different, right? Because even though the game mechanic may be similar, the content, the avatars, the art, and all of that is so different. So think about it like the TikTok dances, right? It's like one dance step that people do over and over again, and they make it their own. And that's kind of that power of content creation that people carry. However, we keep adding templates every month, and then soon we're actually going to be opening it up to game developers so they can contribute their own templates. And if they qualify according to the criteria and the quality requirements on Brushna, they will be able to leverage their own templates on the platform and then actually be able to become partners in our revenue share model. So that's something that crowdsourcing of templates is something that's on the roadmap. However, one of the things we've come to realize is people are hungry for simple. Simple is fun and simple is popular. So people are like, hey, I don't want like 1,000 templates. I just want to be able to tell my story really well, and I want to be able to create more and more games based on that. So we've actually received very little feedback, very little pushback on the variety of the games, but people are very, very loyal to the simplicity of the platform, and that's something that we're prioritizing.
Yeah, and that's something great. The simplicity works a lot. Thank you so much, Mariah.
Thank you, Alex.
Thank you, Mariam. Really quickly, what got you interested in gaming or in being a video game creator?
Yeah, I'm an economist by academic training. I was working at the World Bank in education policy. I mean, honestly, it was the menstrual stigma. So one of the first games that I made with a developer was actually a period game where you're catching pads with a pair of undies and you're busting menstrual myths, because I thought that there is a men in menstruation and people don't talk about periods. So that was the first game we made. And then I was like, hey, there's something here. So 8 years ago, I actually started my own not-for-profit making social impact games. And then we realized that there's a platform play where rather than us being a gaming studio, there's a big power to saying, hey, you know what, you can make your own hyper-casual games to tell your story. So periods started it.
That's awesome. A great backstory for sure. Well, congratulations again on everything you built so far.
Thank you so much. And thank you for the opportunity.
Oh, of course, it's our pleasure. All right, well, we'll bring on our last presenter. If you just give me 1 sec, I'm going to bring on Rodrigo from GamerSafer. Rodrigo, give me 1 second, sir, and I'll let you share your screen. And before we do, just another quick reminder to all the judges, if you could make sure to have all the scores in more or less by the time we're done asking questions of Rodrigo, so that we can announce the winners right afterwards. Rodrigo, you should be able to share your screen, sir.
Let me know when you can see it.
Yes, sir, I can see it. And now you're in the presenter mode, so whenever you're ready.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Rodrigo Tamellini, CEO and co-founder of GamerSafer. Like many of you, millions of players go online every day to learn, compete, have fun, and socialize. Everybody's seeking for a positive experience. But there is a near 90% chance of this person manage things like bullying, harassment, hate speech, sexism, racism, frauds, and many other challenges, mostly driven by fake accounts. Of course, this is terrible for players, and it's a $15 billion problem for the industry once bad experiences drives churn, compromising lifetime value. Behind all of those problems that I mentioned, the same root cause, the high level of anonymity and the lack of player accountability. That's why we created our digital identity platform for games, where we verify and authenticate players using computer vision and AI. And we help games to improve matchmaking to prevent the problems to happen in the first place. Our technology works in 3 simple steps. They create an account with us, we enrich this profile with a biometric data, anonymize all the data, being compliant with every single data privacy regulation around the world, and simply connect with your favorite game. The first game using our technology was a small game that you probably never heard about it, called Minecraft. And we also found traction with esports platforms and thousands of Discord communities. So every day, GamerSafer technology protects over 15 million players in 55 countries. And our product was launched by late 2021. Our business model is a software as a service, B2B, where we charge a fee per active user per month. So the math is simple. Millions of players, dozens of games, cents per month. We have a very solid revenue stream. But what's really cool about what we're doing, we are the first reputation bureau for gaming, because we are connecting those independent silos in a network. So if you're a fraudster or a criminal in one platform, you are reported back, and I can leverage this through the network, scaling safety and solving the industry problem across the board. We believe safety is a fundamental right, in person and online. Love that you guys augment this story, and let's game on.
Awesome, Rodrigo, and super important as well, by the way, what you guys are building. So fantastic job. We'll go ahead and we'll open up for the final round of questions. Anybody want to start off for Rodrigo? All right, we got Miguel. We'll start with you, sir.
Yeah, so great presentation. My question is, many companies worldwide right now are developing their own security systems, many times with just multi-factor authentication. So what is like your added value here to basically convince these companies to outsource their security and not develop their security systems themselves?
Multi-factor authentication doesn't solve the problem of a fake and duplicate account, which is the root cause of the problem. So what happens right now is, yes, platforms, they have a fairly big effort trying to ban bad players. What happens 2 minutes later? They create a new account and repeat. So this is endless cycle, really requires a more in-depth technology that leverages things up. So verification of players is one of the elements that, of course, we can help, and we bring this to another level versus the traditional MFA solutions. But what I really believe is unique on what we are doing is we are also helping them to improve matchmaking, because by enriching the player profile, we are helping them to improve the matchmaking system. So let me give an example. Our technology can help them train for age. So if I have to put 100 players together in a match, and I know for sure all of them are between 15 to 17 years old, why should I put in my mechanics of matchmaking, put them playing with a 40-year-old guy? It's just an open door for child exploitation scenarios, for example. Or I have this female player that is very good in the competitive scene, and I have this another player that was already being penalized or warned about sexist behavior. Why should I put them playing together? The lady will win the match, the guy will speak his mind, and everybody loses. So I think there's those components of, okay, how can we make sure that we're enforcing the end of a fake and duplicated accounts, and also preventing the problem to happen in the first place?
Great answer. Thank you so much.
Anybody else have a question for Rodrigo? Amanda, Brett, anybody want to go? Amanda, go ahead.
Hi, so I know that, I mean, with any technology, with ID verification or biometrics, I know you're trying to be as safe as possible, but there's always ways that breaches happen. Like, what would you tell a concerned customer who might worry about the impact of data breaches if they're giving this data to the company?
I think that's a great question. Basically, what happens with our biometric authentication process, we transform that image and those coordinates in that image in a hash code that cannot be reverse engineered or reconstructed. So there is no possibility of data breach. More than that, right? We do not share, sell, or resell, or do anything with the data, but having this as a verified account. We understand concerns about that, but I think being very transparent, and our user interface is really dedicated to make sure that players understand that they are the owners of the data, right? So they are connecting to the games as they want it, and they can disconnect with the games as they want it. And of course, our UI is explaining how we use each one of the data and why this is important to keep them safer, right? Again, protecting millions of players. Originally, we foresee more concerns around the use of that technology, but by the end of the day, the value proposition is players want to have a better experience, and they want to have safe space, and they are willing to do that. And of course, games are also doing a good job, our partners, doing the proper level of incentives. So they understand that, for example, some of our partners, they are doing the following. You just can unlock your chat features once you have a verified account. or I will give you an incentive as an in-game item if you do this, or I have a dedicated space in my server for that, or a specific channel for verified players. So they understand that those boundaries are basically for people that are really seeking better experiences. So yes, they will have the Wild West for if you want it, but there's a better place if you wanted to.
Cool, thank you.
Thanks, Amanda. Anybody else have another question for Rodrigo?
Oh, I'm having a hard time like finding the words for this, but I guess I know you mentioned working with Minecraft, and I guess I'm just wondering like how you have found the experience of, you know, discussing your value proposition with some of the larger game publishers. Like it seems to me, I guess it seems to me that some games like let's say like a Call of Duty, so much of their user base is toxic, I guess, for lack of a better word. And I wonder if some of those publishers would be hesitant to implement this, even though it's the right thing to do, because they would understand like, hey, we're not trying to piss off like all of our users here, right? So just, I guess, wonder how that sort of discussion has gone with some of those publishers.
I think that's a great point. I think by the end of the day, it's a combination, because each one of the games, they have different challenges. Some of them are more concerned with the toxicity. Some of them are more concerned about fraud. Some are more on the crime related or something like that. So each one has a different challenge, and each one of them implement the technology in a different way. Basically, what we are talking with them and what's the logic behind the adoption of the technologies, again, bad experiences are leading to player churn, compromising lifetime value. So there is a study done by ADL showing that 28% of people that have a bad experience in games play less or leave the games. So the math is simple. Cost of acquisition in games is super high, mainly if you're in a AAA game. Lifetime value for a major franchise is several years, like 5 to 10 years, depending on the game. So if they lose the player in the first or second year because the community is toxic or people doesn't really feel safe or comfortable playing, they are really leaving a lot of money behind. So yes, there is this debate how much some publishers are okay leading things up, some not. And there's different levels of severity as well. What we see happening is we have partners that are very strict and really putting these end-to-end. Some of them are really trying to tackle and using our technology to look into the most severe cases, for example. So, okay, how can I block criminal activities? And the really bad things is not just two teenagers screaming on each other. We are talking way more severe things than that. So there's several shades of severity, and they might apply the technology differently based on the challenge they are facing in their communities.
Rodrigo, you don't have to name anybody, but have any video game creators or publishers outright kind of said, "Hey, we don't want to alienate our base. No thanks." Has that?
I think they're changing their mindset. I think many of them were very concerned about friction first and foremost, and scale. And I think with the track record that we are having, I think they are more open, and I think we are seeing the deployment again coming faster. Most of the major publishers, they are doing massive investments against toxicity. I think one of the problems was they were very focused on moderation. The problem of moderation is, yes, you can identify using AI and human moderators the bad activities, and this can even be reported by players. The problem is the reaction to that when it comes is too late. So the damage is already done, the community is already upset, and takes several weeks to take action. So again, trying to be more proactive, I think, is an important word with the industry right now.
Definitely, and I see here Paulo and Miguel are mentioning just how toxic League of Legends is, and so obviously, again, super important what you're building. So congrats and thank you for spending time with us today too, Rodrigo.
That's great. Thank you.
All right, folks. Well, we're done with the competition. If journalists, you'd take 30 seconds or so to finalize and lock in any of the all of the scores. and then we'll announce the winner. And I know a few folks had to jump off as well. So if they're not on and we do announce them, we'll be sure to follow up with them and let them know and send them their virtual trophies, etc. While we're waiting for the 30 seconds to finalize, I did want to open up for any questions. If any of the panelists had any questions that they wanted to ask of the media judges, now is a really great time. If you have any questions, or I'm curious, maybe Mariam or Rodrigo, if you guys are kind of already at a stage where you're contacting media about your startups, or Jalali as well, or if you have any questions surrounding that, when is the right time, etc. Happy to answer any questions if anybody wants to start off. I know I'm putting everybody on the spot a little bit.
No, I'll absolutely do that. I think one of the things that I'd love to learn on is, like, I've always had this strategy of building in public and cold outreach to investors. And I know that cold outreach, there's an art to it. And, it's like, I wonder if there's an example that you have to just like a cold outreach just stuck with you. Like you were like, oh my God, I don't know this person, but that really stood out. Like, is there an example? Was there a LinkedIn message or an email that came to you that you were like, that was really well done? I'd love it if founders, this is how they would reach out to me.
I would say just kind of like talk to media the way that you talk to anyone else, like, I think sometimes it has to do more with like the idea itself than the outreach. So like, I'm very public online about being a big Pokemon fan. And then sometimes I get emails that are like, Pikachu, now that I got your attention. But that kind of bothers me because I'm just like, why are you doing this? And like, I get why people do it and I don't hold it against them because I know that people are usually told like, oh, find something about who you're pitching. But honestly, it works just to be like, hey, I'm a founder. Here's my company. Here's some information. Cool.
That is so refreshing. Thanks for sharing that, Amanda.
Go ahead, Paolo, as well.
Yeah, I can answer that as well, just because I was just talking about this with somebody yesterday. Now, I mean, the food world, mostly these days, it's a little different, but in the spirit of that idea of just talking to people like normal people, kind of, somebody was asking me if the big splashy press kits really get anywhere for the Eater Vox people I know, and they pretty much don't, unless it's something that's like someone was talking about kind of AAA gaming and stuff. I mean, if we can't ignore it and we have to write about it, that's one thing. But one of the best cold messages I ever got was from a really small chocolate company where they just said, hey, my name is Bo, and I, see that you write about chocolate sometimes, and I'd love for you to come check out our stuff. And it was like very natural, very normal, and very kind of human. And yeah, like that whole like kind of Pikachu type thing. Like it gets definitely irritating when people do that kind of more grabby stuff. So it's, yeah, I think there is definitely the art to the cold ask, and it's just being yourself and kind of just trying to, I think, treating people in the same way,
Awesome, Paulo. Thank you. And Brett, I saw your hand go up if you want to go, sir.
Yeah, just I think a couple other things I was going to add was, one, I think you kind of have to be a reporter yourself and, sort of find out like, who is this person I'm pitching to? Like, what are the kinds of stories they write? Like, what is the kind of publication they write for, and what are the stories that publication writes? So, like one thing I run into a lot at Forbes is like, we don't cover companies unless we know revenue. And so, a company will start saying like, hey, like, why don't you cover us? And we'll say, well, you got to tell us your revenue. And they're like, well, we're a private company. We're not going to tell you our revenue, but also we would still like you to cover us. And it's like, well, that's just a non-starter for us. So we're a business publication. We only do those stories with revenue. So I think like you really want to know as much as you can, like who you're pitching to, and like really tailor those conversations to those people in those publications. And then I think the one other thing is I get really frustrated because I have a lot of people like constantly pitching me that are just like, cover my company. And like, that's the extent of their pitch. And so like, I think as journalists, like we're always thinking in terms of like what the story is. So either having some sort of news that you can build the story around, like a new feature, a new, announcement, a new milestone is always helpful, or just sort of being upfront, like, hey, I don't have any story for you right now, but like, can we have an intro I can get you familiar with my company and like we can start this relationship. And then like once I have like a better story, we can come back and talk about it. But it's like I get probably, I don't know, I could count in my inbox right now, but I probably get about 30 emails a day that are just like, cover my company. And so that can just be really frustrating. Like as a journalist, you just end up buried under all these pitches that are like either not relevant or just like aren't really well thought through. And also, I guess I would just say, if we don't respond to you, it's not necessarily like we hate you. It's like we're getting 30 emails a day that are saying, hey, cover my company.
Definitely. No, Brett, thank you for that too. And Mariam, great question. Anybody else have any questions for the journalists before we announce the winners? No? All right. I'm actually curious real quick before to start. Brett, I know you also covered the sports space or at least, you know, have for a long time. Are most of your pitches coming from or most of the stories in that space, are they generated via pitches that come your way from representatives from teams, or is it more of sourcing within the leagues and having your sources within there and kind of, you know, chatting with them and digging?
I would say for me personally, I don't write a lot of stories that are just sort of off cold outreach pitches. It's either stuff that I, you know, either have an idea myself or get tipped off to, or it's something like I was saying, like I built up this relationship with this person over the course of years. So when they come to me, it's like, this is like the time that we're gonna, you know, maybe dig in here. It's not a lot of just like, hey, this is my first email, write about it, and then I end up writing.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Awesome. Geraldine, I see you also have a question. Please go ahead.
Hi, thanks for the space. My computer is a little bit laggy, so I do feel a little delay, but I hope everything connects as well. My question is more dedicated to the judges. I did notice through the conversation, there are like some key points, you know, you guys get a lot of emails. It must be extremely struggling in order to choose. What are the things that maybe makes you take the decision that, hey, this is a nice story. This founder has something important. The traction, as you mentioned, is important, but besides the storytelling, which I believe that's super important, what are those key points that you would say that if you could throw out a checklist out there? I'm just a fan of checklists. So what are like those key points that you would say that are essential and that would definitely make it more interesting for you to choose to cover?
Amanda, you got any thoughts on this one? Amanda or Victor? Or yeah, go ahead, Amanda.
I think in terms of like choosing companies to cover, I think a lot about like, I think it varies a lot depending on like who cares about what. Like I tend to look for social impact because that's something that like gets me excited to write about a company. Other people might be like, whoa, this company raised a huge funding round, which like I don't care a ton about. Like it's good for you, but also funding doesn't always mean everything. I mean, look at like Adam Newman getting however many million dollars for whatever. But I don't know. I feel like it varies a lot day to day, and this is not a good answer, but I think sometimes it's just like, I don't know, just now I'm like seeing news that I'm like, oh, why didn't I cover that news? And then I realized that it came out while I had COVID a few weeks ago. And I'm like, oh, that's why I didn't cover it. So sometimes it's just things that are completely out of your control. And sometimes finding the right person to pitch helps. And sometimes they might have COVID. So I don't know.
Well, we're glad you're back and healthy now. I saw Brett and then Victor's hands go up too. So if you guys want to comment.
Sure. I mean, I feel like I'm talking a lot, but I guess I would say, since you phrased it like a checklist, I would say 3 things. One, which I already kind of touched on, is like think in terms of a narrative, like the same way we do, right? Like if you want us to write a story, like how are you thinking of your story? And like I think that starts with, like I said, having some news to really hang the story on. Like what is new, what is fresh? Like that's how we think in terms of journalists. So like, I think that's always something to highlight. The second thing would be thinking about the stakes. So I think a lot of pitches that I get are just like, hey, we have this new feature, but they don't really think about like, why is that interesting? Why does that matter? Like some of these pitches are like really incremental. So really think about like the impact of whatever you're talking about. And like, I think one thing that would maybe just be worth saying there is like, I think people that are new to dealing with journalists or wanting coverage, like don't necessarily understand like our obligation is not to you as the subject or the source, it's to our readers. And so like, we're always going to be looking at any pitch through that lens and like, why does this matter to the people we're writing for? Not why does it matter to you? And like, we're not, even if we say we're going to write about you, we're not obligated to write a favorable story about you or a flattering story. Like again, our obligations to our readers. So if you want that favorable coverage, it's like really up to you to prove to us like why you deserve it. And then the last point would be exclusivity. So just like you guys have competitors, we have competitors too. And we don't want to be putting out the same story that everyone else is writing. So if you're just sending me a pitch that's like, here's a bunch of information you can find on my website, like that doesn't really do anything for me as a journalist. Like I'm trying to tell stories that people don't already know or don't have access to. So stuff that that isn't out there already. And like along with that, like it's not as interesting to me if you're giving the same interview to 20 different outlets as if I'm the only one you're talking to. So you know, I would say like, think about your sort of like priorities and who can do that story, because it's going to be like a much more interesting pitch if you're like, I'm only talking to you versus like, I've just done a 2-week-long media tour and here's the 15 articles that have already been published on me. Like for me, it's like, well, if someone's interested in you, they can go read about it in the Wall Street Journal or Bloomberg. They don't need to come to Forbes if it's already published. So I want to have the one story that tells that story.
Awesome, Brett. Thanks. And then maybe tack on, share your revenue as well if you're pitching to Brett and Forbes.
Yes, please.
Awesome. And then Victor, if you want to go ahead and share our last comments as well.
Yeah, no, I think Brett covered it very well. Absolutely amazing points. A few things like, I mean, I personally focus on a few things like what's your key differentiator? What's your key differentiator? As Amanda was saying, like, you know, we come across many pitches saying that we raised the funding, you know, this and that. But what led to that funding? How is your product different? And if that is clear in the pitch, and I definitely look for a few things like insights, some interesting insights like percentages, stats, a few things that can, you know, make, when we are developing a story, make our narrative more exciting and interesting. And yeah, definitely. And if you guys have any end customer, you know, case studies or something like that, any quotes from them, we definitely that also helps us build a narrative of what the impact is and who the company's end user is. So these are a few things to keep in mind. I think if these few things are very clear in the initial pitch, it makes us interested in getting back and reaching out.
All right, Victor, thank you so much. And also thanks to the media panel for, you know, answering all of our questions and great questions as well from the startups. We'll go ahead and we'll jump right into announcing the winner. We'll start with the third and then second and first. And unfortunately, I know everybody's super busy. A couple people had to hop off, so we'll give them a round of applause in absentia. But if everybody would like to unmute and give a round of applause for all of our winners, it's not easy what they did today. So we'd like to appreciate them, of course. In third place, we have Jeralee with Stream Technology. So Jeralee, congratulations and great job.
Thank you.
You did awesome. So again, congratulations with everything you've built, and really looking forward to see what the future holds.
Thank you.
In second place, we have Mariam with Breshna.
Oh, thank you, guys.
Congratulations, Mariam.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
No, you did awesome. Thank you so much for a really fun to watch and listen to presentation. And everything that you're building is super cool. Can't believe you came from the finance world. That's a hell of a 180, but congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Sure thing. And in first place, we'll be sure to send her in for all this information. But we have Shale with the last game board. She did an excellent job too. So we'll give a round of applause to Shale. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. I do want to thank everybody for taking time out of their day, because I know everybody's really busy. So thank you. Hope to host you guys again for the next Connect event. But in the meantime, we'll be sure to connect everybody. I hope everybody can get together on LinkedIn, etc., and continue the relationships going forward. A big thanks again to our events director, Salome Muriel, who put this together, as well as all of the media judges today and the startups who risked it all to be with us. So congratulations and keep on playing. See you guys.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.